Hey guys, I'm Alana from Win Win,
I'm Jess from Win Win.
and it is Monday, the 19th of June, 2023. Welcome to this episode of Insights where we are talking all about trucks. Now, Jess, what is the number one job we get asked about every single week?
So every single day, at least a dozen times, we get messages and calls and emails saying, I want a dump truck traineeship. I just want to drive dump trucks. I know I've got no experience and I've never done it before, but it's just been a dream of mine. I've always wanted to do it.
Yeah, I think it's more than a dozen. It's every single day. It's like 90% of people come to us pitching to us about why they're the best person to get a dump truck traineeship. And I'd hate to tell you, but years ago, when we were actually hiring for a dump truck traineeship position, we put an ad out on Seek, and within less than 2 hours, we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applications for these jobs. The competition for these is ridiculous, like seriously. So in this version of Insights today, Jess and I wanted to go over a couple of options that you might actually want to contemplate to get your foot in the door to driving a truck, if that's the way that you want to go, because it's not just dump truck traineeships. There are so many different awesome trucks out there that Jess used to drive, that I used to drive. So let's get into it. Jess, what is the number, or what's one sort of truck that you would suggest people potentially be open to driving and work their way into?
My favorite by far was the MMU truck. So awesome. Or MPU, like so good. You get to work with the blast crew. You're doing something different every day. You're meeting new people. You're going to different places. It's awesome. You also get to drive water trucks or Moxies. So much fun. Awesome job and not boring at all. Like you're doing something different all the time. Awesome fun. What about you?
Just elaborate, right? So an MMU is a mobile manufacturing unit or a mobile processing unit. These are what are called the bomb trucks, right?
Yep.
Because they carry all the stemming and stuff that they chuck down the holes before they blast, like do a blast, right? So those trucks there are basically like 6 to 8 wheeler trucks. You do need to have your HR driver's license for that. Is that right, Jess?
Yes, you do. Yep.
Yes, you do. And those trucks are awesome because you'll be all over the site. You get to go down to where they're doing the blasting. You get to go to the crushing unit to then get filled up with the stemming, and they're a great way in, right? Companies like Orica do traineeships like this basically like all the time, and this is almost in pretty much every state where they've got mining operations where they blow stuff up. You can potentially have the opportunity to get into one of those jobs, right? Easy to drive, and you need an HR driver's license. So yeah, could be one of the better ways, could be an option that you might want to consider. Okay, another one for me, right? I personally loved driving water carts, tipper trucks. I think it's a great job. Water cart, you're here, there, and everywhere, right? So you get to see the whole site. You're constantly on the move, and especially if it's summer and you're short-staffed, you are literally like flat out going like all day long. If you are like me and you like to be busy, that it could be a perfect job for you. Obviously, the tipper truck, same thing. You're getting loaded by the loader or the excavator or whatever, and then you're going to reverse to like drop it somewhere, maybe run it out for the grader, and then pretty much they come along and for all the road maintenance works and building new roads and stuff like that. They're always looking for those. So, Jess, have you ever driven a water cart before?
I have, yeah, at Boddington. Yep.
Awesome.
Awesome. Same thing. I loved it. You're always on the go. You're always doing something different and it's always busy. It's so much fun.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd say like in for like civil jobs and stuff like that, another truck that you might consider is a Moxy. So a Moxy is basically an articulated dump truck, a little one. And pretty much with that truck there, yes, you might need the Moxy license. Sometimes you need the HR license. You definitely do in most cases. And I'm saying in most cases, yes, some sites are like, who gives a shit? You can do it on a manual driver's license or whatever. But for those 6-wheeler water carts, tipper trucks, and Moxies, generally, if you have an HR license, you would be definitely way above other candidates that don't. So that can be a great option. Moxies, do you want to elaborate on that any further, Jess?
No, I think you've pretty much covered it. You can, like you said, you can use it. It can be in all different types of jobs. You could be underground, above ground. It could be civil. It really, they use them. They're really utilized a lot in all different areas. And again, it can be a really interesting job. I know for myself, sitting in a dump truck for 12 hours a day, driving the same route or following a yellow line on a screen would do my head in. I couldn't do that. I'd need to be but some people love that, especially if you've come from maybe quite a technical job or a busy job and you just want like a job where you don't have to think too much. But yeah, definitely Moxies are awesome. Awesome. And definitely get your HR license. If you're going to do any license, get your HR.
Yeah, it's a tax deduction, people. So it's almost the end of the month where you are going to get smashed with tax, especially if you work in the mining industry. So if you're contemplating going and get an articulated dump truck or a loader or a grader or an excavator, any of those tickets, make sure you have your HR license first, because that will open way more doors than an articulated dump truck ticket, right? Okay, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about underground trucks. So you've got all the Sandvik trucks and stuff like that underground. If you can handle being in a big black hole, that probably sounds bad, for 12 hours at a time, then that might be an option for you. Those trucks there, some of them, all you need is an automatic, like, or even a car license. So that can be an option if you don't want to upskill yourself and get that HR license. So those are quite easy to get. You can get a underground truck driving role and or nipper role. So you can put, that could be another option to add in instead of the dump truck traineeships. Right, let's talk about, this is not a truck, but this can be one of the perfect gateway jobs into a truck driving role. That is how I did it. Bus driving, right? I love driving buses. They're awesome. You get to meet everyone, who's who at the zoo, like on the mine site, talk to everyone. You're driving around in aircon, listening to tunes all day. You might have to do other things. If you're working for the catering company, they might attempt to make you do other jobs like utility stuff. So try to go in with a company that hires just bus drivers. Go West, even Blue Tongue, those guys hire you just as a bus driver. And for that, you need an HR driver's license and a PTD authorization, which is basically an eye test and like a police certificate, whatever. So that could be a great opportunity, because I can tell you that's exactly how I went from bus driving to then jumping on the truck. So great opportunity. All right, what's the next truck, Jess?
The next one is a serviceman truck. Underground as well, it can be, and it's another good way to get your foot in the door. They're usually 6 to 8 wheelers, I think, and I don't know about the HR license for them. I think generally we always err on the side of caution and say definitely get it. But if you're working as a serviceman or you're working with the service crew, you can have the chance to operate these. And again, it's an awesome way to get your foot in the door, test out to see whether you like operating big machinery and see where you want to go within the mining industry.
Yeah, serviceman role, totally awesome. Basically, what you're doing is you're refueling vehicles. Like you could be refueling the excavators, doing greasing, changing filters, giving them AdBlue. You're all around the site, so it's awesome. You might be operating some of the big Caterpillar ones, or just the little 6 to 8 wheeler service trucks, which is a great opportunity. A lot of drillers offsiders, they'll actually be jumping into those trucks, so they'll be operating the manned service trucks. And that can be a perfect gateway job then later on down the track if you decide, oh, I'm not loving the whole drillers offsider thing. I might want a better roster. Might want more money, to then jump straight into a serviceman role. In fact, that's what we did with a candidate a couple of weeks ago. He was a drillers offsider, but he was also like heavily operating the service trucks. So he went from 2 and 1 drillers offsider, $45 an hour, to 2 and 2 serviceman role, $60 an hour. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. So that can be a great opportunity. Again, for that, have your HR license. It's definitely going to be like advantageous to have that. So yeah, definitely. The next one, let's talk about flatbed trucks. These can encompass logistics roles, where you will be logistics / warehouse, scaff trucks, all that sort of stuff, where you need to move either pallets of equipment or like long items such as like scaff tubes and stuff like that. Jess, what do you need for one of those roles?
You do need an HR or an MR license, depending on what type of truck that you're operating, but we say always go for an HR, just having that as your base. And this can be a really good way, and this is how I changed from operating. So I went in as a a chef, and then I changed to a Peggy, and then I started operating the trucks for the logistics in the stores and driving to and from Perth. And that's when I jumped over and was operating other machinery. So this can be a really good way in. Get that license, start asking around, especially if you are a Peggy or you're working in the stores, or you're having contact with those trucks within your daily jobs. Ask if you can, oh, could I do a run, or could I go and pick something up? Get in there and try and have a go, especially if you do have that license, and get that experience, because it can be really fun. And like we said, you can have different roles and be doing different things all day, where you're not just stuck in the same truck doing the same thing.
100%. And like, that's another job, another entry level job that people don't really take into consideration, is a warehousing / logistics role, right? Within those jobs there, you're basically overseeing stores and, issuing PPE and tools and all that sort of stuff. But you also do have to drive around site potentially with the forklift operator and like deliver gear, palletize loads, to, pulls. tools to like different work groups. So having that HR driver's license, and obviously forklift, if you are going down the warehouse / storeman sort of a job, is a great opportunity for you. If you're working in Perth right now and you're doing like warehousing stores, that could be an awesome opportunity for you to then get your first mining job, and then potentially use a 2-step plan to then jump onto those trucks and stuff like that. So yeah, awesome potential job. All right, next job, Jess. Let's talk about waste trucks.
Waste trucks. So there's a few different types of waste trucks. There's a rear lift, obviously, and then there's a side lift, and there's also the massive big skip trucks that carry the skip bins, which are usually a flatbed as well. Generally, they can be run by the catering companies, depending on how big your site is and where you're located, or they could be like external companies that come out and just do the waste management. These are also another awesome way to get your foot in the door. If you're already doing this in Perth and you want to get into the mines, we can help you to tailor your resume so that you've got that experience to get a job on site. And it's also just to to say you've had experience on a mine site, even if it's within the village or on the site where you're unloading skips or picking up bins or emptying bins. It's still relevant experience that we can tie in and make that relevant for you.
Yeah, 100%. This is a job that I used to do like back in the day. I was a garbo, which was super awesome. 2 and 2, living the dream on Barrow Island. Companies that hire are like, you're looking at Veolia, Cleanaway, Sewers. Like, there are a couple of really big companies that hire for those ones. So if you're doing that in Perth, it's actually it's a hop, skip and a jump to then jump into your first mining job. So that could be a truck driving role you potentially might want to consider if you're in town and you have your HR license, and potentially even a loader and forklift or along those lines. And then you want to like transition into the mining industry. Okay, we've touched upon warehousing and flatbed trucks, like simple. Let's go into some of the bigger trucks, Jess. MC, road trains. These are an awesome job as well. Obviously, you're going to have your HR license, and then you're potentially going to have to go and upskill yourself, believe it or not, pay for qualifications. Oh my God. But this can be an awesome opportunity to then go into a driving job, especially if you want to drive long distance. Jess, elaborate on this a little bit more.
So generally they are either driving from a town. So it may be a residential town up north. It could be Newman, Karratha, Port Hedland, any of those, maybe Darwin even. And you could be driving out to site, or you could be coming to Perth and going up to site, depending on what you're hauling. It's massive trucks. You're driving a road ranger gearbox, depending on what type of truck you're doing. You may be working back to back with someone else, so you may have a sleeper and you may be doing shifts and working back to back, or you could be on your own and maybe you're stopping and sleeping as you go along, depending on how it goes. Some people absolutely love this job. I think it's just like any job, being away from home and working like that in quite isolated conditions. You're probably not going to know until you do it. But it can be an awesome job. And if you are doing that now and you want to make the jump into mining, that's so relevant. We can definitely help you out there. But awesome job. You can make great money. You're obviously away from home as well, so you have that experience. And if you do want to get into FIFO, that can be a really good way to do it if you've got that experience and got those licenses already.
Yeah, 100%. And then up on site as well, they've got semi water carts, so the bigger ones. And you've also got like just a ton of different options. And there are a lot of companies worldwide, and especially in Australia, who actually do traineeships for these. So Cube is a really, really good one, right? Cube, they roll them out every single year, multiple times. You can go do your training down in, let's say, Fremantle or, you know, whatever state that you're in, and they'll actually train you up. Sometimes all you need is the HR license, and then they'll train you up so that you can operate the big rigs. So that can be an awesome opportunity if you're contemplating a different career driving trucks that is not just a dump truck traineeship. So yeah, and what we say as well is when it comes to these jobs, right, get your foot in the door. If need be, utilize a 2-step plan to do it, you know. Like that's exactly, I would have seen one of the videos potentially on how I assisted my twin sister to do that. It can be an awesome opportunity so that, you know, when you're vying for these jobs, so are tens of thousands of people at the same time, right? So give yourself a better chance. I'm not saying you can't get a dump truck traineeship, because we help people to get them every single week. But I'm saying, right, the more opportunities you can give yourself to get your foot in the door quicker, the quicker you're going to get your foot in the door, full stop. Anything else to add on that, Jess?
I just think, definitely open your horizons. Obviously, a lot of people love driving dump trucks and will still always want to do that. But we do find that most of our candidates that we get in a 2-step plan into another role, like whether it be a driller's offsider or a utility or, you know, lab assistant or however they get in admin, they end up actually changing their mind once they've actually been on site and had a look at the jobs and seen what different jobs entail, because there's so much more out there and so much more opportunity. You could be going for a dump truck traineeship where 20,000 people are applying that are all way more qualified. You know, there could be 10,000 people in there that have already had experience on a Moxy or a dump truck on site or in a civil capacity, whereas you could go for like an MC or an HC traineeship or, you know, a driller's offsider role where there may only be 20 other candidates and you may, you know, have a bigger chance of getting in. So definitely just really think about what your long-term goals are and about how much stimulation you need within your working environment too, because I think that makes a massive difference to whether you're happy in your job and whether you're going to have that longevity that like you want to have in that job and that the company will want you to have.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. There's so many options out there besides dump truck traineeships. And of course, if you need help getting one, send us a copy of your resume, what jobs you potentially might be open for, and we can create a plan to help you get what you want. It's literally what we do. info@winwin.com.au. If you've got any other questions that you want answered on any other jobs within the mining industry, get in contact with us. Drop it in the comment section below. And why don't you tell us, what was your first truck driving job on site? We'd be very interested to know. Hey, Jess, what was yours, Jess?
Mine was as a Peggy, so at Boddington Gold for Newmont. I was working down there for an engineering company, and I kind of went from admin to Peggy, and then I started driving the warehousing and logistics trucks back up and down to Perth to pick up stores, and then I just went from there. I grew from there. Then I went into an offsiting role, and then I went into just driving all sorts of machinery, Moxies, all sorts.
Awesome.
Water carts was my favorite.
Me too. I love water carts. You're just everywhere and the day just goes so quickly. It's so much fun. So yeah. Oh, I want to go back to mines.
What about you? What was your first truck driving role?
I went from bus to then driving flatbeds and driving everything. Then I went to waste. So I was driving all the waste trucks and stuff like that. And then I went to water carts and tipper trucks and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, yeah, I love it. And it's the best. It is the best job on site, right? You're in the aircon. You get to listen to your tunes all day. If you're in a dump truck on a lot of sites, especially if it's a production site, guess what? You don't get to do that, right? You have to listen to the radio for the calls all day. But if you're out flipping about in a water cart, you're living the dream, like seriously. And you get to get out of that truck quite regularly when you're at the standpipe filling it up, or the tipper truck, or whatever it is. So yeah, so many more options, people. It's not just about dump truck traineeships. And quite frankly, I couldn't think of anything more boring. What about you?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. So I couldn't think of anything worse either. I had a girlfriend, she'd been working as a Peggy and driving trucks and like water cuts and all sorts of stuff, working as a TA, and she got a dump truck traineeship. She was so excited because she was like, this is going to be amazing. And she did it for 2 weeks. She was like, I can't do this. This is driving me crazy. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But then, like we said, there's other people that will absolutely love it. Maybe you've been in a really intense job for a long time, or you've been in a physical job and you just want to kick back and drive a truck all day, then awesome. Like, go for it.
Yeah. Oh, actually, maybe that's what I need. I'll leave my brain at home, go back, drive a truck. Oh, yeah. No offense to anyone who is driving trucks right now. Love your work. Okay, well, that's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for next week's insights. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks. See ya.